Hello and welcome to the social trading webinar with me, David Jones, in association with Ayondo Markets. If you're watching the recorded version of this, it was held live on Tuesday, March the 14th at 7:30 in the evening. So this is a webinar that we do normally every couple of weeks. Every other week we run this webinar. I do a weekly Wednesday lunchtime webinar with Ayondo, which is more of a market outlook webinar, looking at the markets, the major markets like the currencies, indices, that sort of thing, to see where the opportunities are in terms of sort of self-directed trading. But this is one where we talk about the idea of social or copy trading. I'll just put that risk warning up while I'm talking away. So you can do both with Ayondo. You can log on, open an account, buy the pound, sell the FTSE yourself. But what they're probably better known for is their social trading, and that's what we're going to talk about this evening. The idea behind social trading is pretty straightforward. Rather than you trying to be the superstar and find the great trades to do and sit there and watch the markets and make a profit and so it goes on, what we look to do is put together almost like a team of traders with hopefully good track records. We have to say, of course, that past performance is no guarantee of the future, and have their trades automatically carried out on our account. And I must admit, it's a bit weird in the beginning that, I mean, I've sort of been using spread betting and CFDs for maybe 20 years, but only been doing sort of this social copy trading for the last year or so. And it is a little bit strange in the beginning when you see trades going through on your account and you've got nothing to do with them. But once you start, it's pretty straightforward, and you can manage the risk. We'll talk a lot about risk management this evening. So you can manage the risk to a level that you're comfortable with. There's all sorts of risk controls you can put in. So we'll talk about that, and we'll sort of set some people up on a real account to be followed. But what we'll do, we'll start off looking at Ayondo's website. So when you log in, and I think you can see this information anyway, you don't need to have an account. If you go to the Ayondo website, you can find this rankings list. Okay, so let me just explain what we're looking at here. So there are certain traders on the Ayondo platform who make their trading histories available to be viewed, good and bad. And if you want to, what you can do is follow those traders, but more of that in a second. Let's just look at what I've done here. I've sorted the top performers by the percentage gains they've made over the last 12 months. So these are people who have been trading and who've made their track records available. So they've been trading through Ayondo, and then Ayondo does all the calculations and shows you their overall P&L. And if you wanted to, you could follow them and have their trades, their future trades, of course, done automatically on your account. So let's start off with this one here. Number one over the last 12 months is this one called Votan, up here at the top. Just to look at the headline number, then we'll dig down a bit deeper. So the P&L, the profit achieved over the period, is 82.5% return. Now that is a quite frankly ridiculous rate of return, and I'm always a little bit concerned, well, more than a little bit concerned, when you see returns like that. That's what, nearly 7% a month. It does start to make me think, well, this person is taking on probably quite silly levels of risk, but more of that in a sec. But this is our top performer. Okay, so 82.5%. Maximum drawdown. This for me is probably the more important figure. So this is the number that shows, okay, well, to achieve that level of return, how much profit was given back along the way? Because I'm sure you know, if you've ever done any trading, if you do a trade and make some money, then that's great. But then on the next trade, clearly you're risking losing some money to try and make some more money. So the drawdown figure is how much of their open profit did they give back along the way. And Votan's given back 17.9%. That's not a horrible figure. I mean, this one down here, SmartJack, gave back a third of their profits along the way. And as you go further down the table, you do see some quite big drawdown numbers. So let's see if there's anything. Well, there's nothing particularly horrendous. Let's see if we can find one that's maybe a bit worse. There's a 35% one there. Now, they're all trading quite sensibly. But clearly what you don't want to do, or what I wouldn't want to do, it's all well and good making, I don't know, 40% in a year, but if along the way you're giving up 50% of your profits, it's an incredibly volatile way to trade. So me, this drawdown figure is an important one. The next important bit for me is the chart, because again, if you've made, let's say you made 80% over the last year, but you made 70% in 1 month, and then just 1% for the rest of the year, it doesn't suggest a particularly sort of systematic and sensible way of trading. So ideally, what I'm looking for is a nice smooth chart, a nice smooth profit and loss chart. And there are, this one's not bad. There's a bit of a hiccup here in the beginning. This one's okay. DAX call 3, FX professional, a bit choppy but okay. JANA, this is one actually I follow on another account. JANA, nice steady regular profits. So what I'm looking for is a nice smooth P&L chart. But let's dig a bit deeper into these traders who offer up their track records for us to follow them. So let's click on this Votan person. Click on here. Right, first of all, there are a couple of warning signs here. But so this is the top performer on the period we chose. But first of all, he's only been a member since the 4th of November 2016. So he's only been trading on the platform. He may have been trading, he or she may have been trading somewhere else for years. We don't know that, but we've only got their track record from November. So that's what, December, January, February, March. So the last 4 months is what we've got. There's the shape of the P&L. Okay, so if we make this, there we go. If we take it out to a year, you can see at an absolute stonking November where it made 50% return, which is ridiculous. Okay, I hope you realise that to make a 50% return in a month, you have to be taking on ridiculous levels of risk. So already for me, my spidey senses are twitching and thinking this isn't really a trader I want to follow. But in their defense, they have continued to grow the account since then. Okay, so that's a snapshot. We'll have a look at a couple of traders in a minute who've got slightly longer track records. So this down here, so this bit down here is another one for me, the performance month on month. So there you can see the November performance, 49% return in November. Now for me, I would just discard that straight away. So for me, oh, that's great. You went hell for leather in November and made a 50% return, but you could just as easily have lost it all by the looks of it. But actually, to be a bit fairer to this person, made 2.6% in December, 5.5% in Jan, 9% in Feb, and 3% so far in March. So if we take the aberration of that 49% return in November, it still made some steady profits over the last couple of months. But again, bear in mind, we do only have a sort of a 4-month track record here. The other warning here, real money trader since March 2017. So what this means is if people want to, they can trade on a demo account and make their track records available. But for me, I only ever look at real money traders because my view is, well, if I'm going to risk my money, my real money following you, then I want you to be trading with your real money as well. So if I feel a bit of financial pain, then you're going to feel it too, the trader I'm following. So this one has only been real money trading this month. And again, as I'm sure you know, if you've ever traded on a demo account, you'll know when you switch to trading with real money, the psychology is very different. You know, when there's real money involved, sweaty palms, sometimes the discipline can go out the window. But let's see, maybe, you know, let's see how this one performs over the next couple of months. But the top performer is an interesting one. Let's have a look at, this is one I'm following on another account, DAX call 3. Let's take a click at this one. Have a look at this one's track record. Here we go. So again, not the longest track record, only going back to August of last year. It's not too bad, I suppose. We've got 6 months, 6 or 7 months worth of data to deal with. Looked like traded on a demo for a couple of months and then started real money trading in December. And the performance has been good since then. So this, for me, even though the headline performance is not as good, 40% performance, 40% return, you know, switched to real money 4 months ago and has been delivering half-decent profits. Again, let's look at the monthly numbers. So down 0.5% in August, but since then, a run of profitable months. And these returns of 1 or 2% are much more, I'm sure I don't have to tell you this, much more realistically achievable month in, month out for the good traders. You know, I think if you see someone who makes 50% in a month, don't expect them to be making 50% month in, month out. But I think this is an interesting one. Okay, an interesting one for me, potentially to follow. So that's a couple of things that I look for. There are all sorts of other sophisticated filters that you can build in, but for me, it's all about, well, clearly the headline P&L is what gets my attention. Then it's the drawdown, how much they're giving back along the way. And then it's just digging a bit deeper and seeing, okay, well, how are they making their money month on month? Is it all being made in one crazy month, or are they actually delivering consistent profits? And if you want to, there's further information. So down here, what do these people trade? Well, this one just trades the DAX, the German 30. Some people will trade a mix of markets. This one, DAX Call 3, just trades the German 30. The distribution of the monthly performance, where's the money being made? How does it look? What does it look like? And some other sort of profit and loss and risk metrics down there, and some open positions. Okay, so that's how we can find out a bit more about these traders. So what we're going to do in a second, we're going to start following this. So I've got a few real accounts. I've got one real account that I've been blogging about. I put £2,000 in, I think it was early Feb, and it's up about 1% so far. And I've sort of blog about that on my website. I'll give you the link after, but it's tradeafter.com. And I've got another account, I think an account with 400 quid that I use for this. So what we're going to do, we'll have a look at adding a trader in a minute, but just to recap on the filters, what I look for is real money traders. So I want people who are using their actual money, not demo money. As smooth as possible historical P&L. I'd rather have somebody who makes 1% every month for the last 2 years rather than somebody who made 25% in 1 month then did nothing. Healthy P&L to drawdown ratio, so that drawdown number is an important one for me to make sure they're not giving back too much profit along the way. Low volatility ideally, not massive swings in the P&L, and the detailed search lets you refine all of these. So let's actually start following a trader. So let's flip back to the screen. So the one we'll follow, I'm just thinking, is DAX Call 3 already in my portfolio? Let me have a quick look at my portfolio, then I'll flick back. I've left one space. Oh no, there's one space there. Okay, so I'll talk about that in a sec. So DAX Call 3 is the one we were looking at with a bit more of a maybe more sustainable P&L. So what I want to do, I want to follow this person. So I'm going to click on follow. What this does, this takes me to my portfolio page. So at the moment, nothing's happening. So there are 4 other traders who I've already got in my portfolio because I think they're good traders to follow. There's DAX Call 3, who I just added. So what it does now, down here, the blue dashed line, this is an idealized P&L. So this is over the last 12 months I've done this. So if I could go back in time, back to March last year, and follow these traders, I would have made about a 60% return over the last year. Okay, over the last 3 months, it looks something like that, 4% over the last month, or down a little bit over the last month, over the last week, up about 0.4%. Okay, so it gives you this idealized view of what it would look like if you went back and followed all their trades from a year ago. Of course, you can't actually go back, and we have to say, you have to understand that this past performance doesn't guarantee the future, but it does give us a breakdown, idealized view of what it can look like. Now, what we can do now, this is the risk control bit. Now, this is one part of the risk control, and this is really important. Let's take DAX Call 3. If I click on DAX Call 3, if I click on settings, this is the one we just added. What you can do is choose what sort of size trade to follow the trader in. Let me just take a step back. If you only had one trader in your portfolio, so that was the only one you were following, and that trader did a trade where they risked losing 2% of their account, then the trade, the same size, would be done on your account. So if you had £1,000 in your account and the trader did a trade where they risked losing 2%, trade would be done on your account where you're risking losing 20 quid, £20 if it goes wrong. That's if they're set to 1 times. If you wanted to, you could knock that up more, yeah? So you can magnify their trades, or if you want to, you can knock it right back to half the size of their trades. So that's if you're only following one trader. But because I've got 5 traders I'm following here, my risk is already reduced. So even if I'm saying I want to mimic them 1 for 1, my risk is reduced. And if you see, the phrase we need to look at is this one down here. If you follow several traders, then your risk is distributed evenly amongst all of the traders. So if I've got 5 traders in my portfolio, I'm actually following every trader with 1/5 of the size. So if DAX call 3 does a trade where they're going to risk losing 1% of their account, it would be done on my account, but with a risk of only 1/5 of 1%, because I'm following 4 other traders. So if I want to, I can bump that up. If I follow this one 5 times now, if this one risks losing 1%, I'm risking losing 1% as well, because I've got those 4 other traders. So I hope that makes sense. And you can do this for all the individual traders. You know, clearly my return would go up. My return has been bumped up to nearer 100% now, because I'm following them much bigger. That one much bigger. But I can set this, you know, whatever I want it to be. Janay's had a good run. I might decide to bump that one up. DAX Finance, I'm only following that one half size, maybe. I think they've gone a bit off the boil. And so it goes on. Okay, so I can set my individual levels of risk if I want to, or just follow them all the same, spread the risk the same. Right, so nothing's happening yet. We're not actually following anybody yet. This is just in our portfolio. And if we now click Execute on Live Account, there's another warning screen. So there are lots of sort of little steps along the way that mean we can't accidentally click and have all these trades sort of start happening. So first of all, because these people are active traders, clearly they've got some trades open. So Edel Metal has got 126 open trades. PsychonNet has got 15. Janay's got 26. DAX Core 3 has got 36. So we have a choice now. We can either have their open trades opened on our account, or we can say, well, actually, I don't care about the open trades. What I want to do is follow any new trades, and that's what I do. You know, if Edel Metal bought the DAX 2 days ago, and the DAX is 50 points higher today than where that person bought, if you decide to have that trade on your account, clearly you're getting in at today's price. You're not getting in at the price they got in at. So what I'm going to do is ignore all this. I don't want to open up their trades, and click on Execute Portfolio. And that's it. So now I've got my live account with £432 in. I've got no P&L at the moment, no profit or loss, because clearly no one's actually traded yet. And down here, these are some recently closed positions from when I last did a webinar back in the, I think it was the 1st of March. We did it, some old closed positions. And you can see, because I'm following them really tiny, my risk is really tiny. You know, the level that I'm following a lot of these people with, I'm not going to make a fortune overnight, but I think it's quite a good way of dipping your toe in and getting a feel for how it all works. There's another level of risk control though. So I've got my £432 in my account. There's also this thing called loss protection. If I click on there, so what I can do is, so I'm following the traders. I've set the level of risk I want with each of these traders. But what I can also say is, well, if my account falls to a certain level, let's say it falls to £250, then what I want to happen is for any open trades to be closed and no more trades to be followed. So it's like having a stop loss on my account. So for example, on the account I'm blogging about, I think it's a £2,000 account, but I've put this loss protection in at 1,600 quid. So it's a way of managing that risk. Okay, so there's my ultimate stop loss. And that's it. So now, whenever one of these people who I'm following does a trade, the trade will be mimicked and carried out on my account. And it's really easy to track it. I think in the beginning I was sort of glued to the screen, but now I've been doing it for about a year, and I just maybe log in once a day or sometimes every other day just to see what's going on and see what the P&L looks like. And at the moment it's flat, of course, because no one's actually done a trade. There's a couple of questions coming through. I'm just going to answer some of these questions. Hopefully they'll be relevant to everybody. So someone's asking, what do the traders get out of this? It's a good question. What they get is a commission, in effect. Okay, so if we look at, let's sort people by followers. So every time, so Janay's got, he's the most popular one with real money, he or she. It's got 1,400 followers. So when Janay does a trade, and I'm following Janay, so and the trade gets done on my account, in effect he gets a tiny commission. He or she gets a little bit of that spread. Okay, so it's in the trader's interest to have lots of followers, obviously, because if people are mimicking their accounts, they'll be earning a reasonable amount in the spread. But also to have lots of followers, they need to be profitable. Yeah, so the thing they need to focus on is their profitability. So they get a small part of the spread, so in effect a commission from ayondo. And what that means is on the social trading account, the spreads are slightly wider than the spreads on the self-directed account. Not massively wider, we're not talking like 10 points, 15 points wider. They're a little bit wider to take into account the fact that the traders that you're following need to be paid a commission. But for me, to be honest, I don't really pay attention to that. I'm just more interested in finding traders who are profitable and trying to follow them. Someone's just asked a question. It's a corporate question. I think the best way, if you drop me an email with that, Stephen, and I'll forward that through to the company, because I'm not sure. But one thing I would say, what ayondo do have, they have a no negative balance policy. So they are FCA regulated. They're a German company. They're regulated by BaFin, the German regulator, but they're also regulated by the FCA. But one thing they do have is a no negative balance. So I think I'm sure if you've been spread betting or trading a while, there's always the risk if the market gaps, you can end up owing your broker money. With ayondo, your account can't go below 0. So they do, but I think for self-directed trading, they're pretty competitive. Everybody these days is pretty much the same spreads. But in the sort of follow traders, you pay a slightly wider spread to reflect the commission. But they are regulated by the FCA here in the UK. But drop me an email. I'll put my email address up at the end, and you can I'll forward that on. I'll find somebody who can answer those other questions for you. So that's it, and that's it really in a nutshell. What I'll do, let me see if I'll log on to the account I've been blogging about. I think it's a bit boring at the moment, but let me log on to that. So what I do, this is the other live account that's got real money in it. It's been up and down a bit, up and down a bit. It's slightly ahead. It's booked 2% of profits over the last month, but it's also running a loss at the moment of 27 quid. So this is the account that you can read about on my website. There's my loss protection with 1,600 quid. And there's the various trades, and you can see they're tiny. I probably need to, I think on the next update I'll bump the risk up, but I'll show you. So the people I'm following in this account, there's only 2 so far, or that could be why. So I'm following Jane, and I've doubled the size on that, and DAX Call 3, who we looked at, and double the size on that. So when I do the next blog update, I'll add in at least another trader, I think, to make things a bit interesting. So it's heading in the right direction, but I think with the markets, with stock markets coming off a bit over the last week, we've seen US stock market slide a little bit. I think some traders have been wrong-footed by some of the moves we've seen, and I think they might have struggled a bit to adapt their approach. Let's take the real money filter off. Someone said, what happens if you take off the filter for real money? Here we go. So the best performer over the last year is Peter Lloyd, 57.57, who has made 156% return. This is an interesting one actually, with only a drawdown of 22%. Why are they not trading with real money? So only 24 followers. But let's have a look. So that's the best performer out of 1,140 traders who make their track record available to view. This is the best one. So let's see how Peter Lloyd has made his money. Maybe I should break my rules and follow somebody who's not a real money trader. Okay, only been trading since October. Still not real money. Clearly it's heading in the right direction. Caught a bit of a move in Feb. Let's look at the numbers. 43% in December, 62% in February, and 7% in January. These sort of numbers always make me very wary. If you're taking on that level of risk, then chances are you're not going to be you won't be trading in a sort of 6 months' time. But there you can see the split. So trades, about 60% of trades in the FTSE, 12% trades in the Dow, DAX. So very much index. Yeah, it's all index, isn't it? There we go. UK, S&P, the Spanish, and a few other things mixed in there as well. So that's the absolute top trader, and been trading since October and made 150% so far, but not a trader with real money. There's the first real money trader. That's Votan, who we had a bit of a quick look at. And that's really social trading in a nutshell. If you register with ayondo, you can have a demo account. So I started off I've worked in the spread betting industry for about the last 15 years, and I always knew about social trading, copy trading, but because the companies I worked for didn't do it, I never really explored it that much. But I sort of got into it last year, and I still do. I clearly still do my own trading, but I got into it last year, and I ran a demo account for a month, and it made 15% in a month. I thought this is fantastic, but with ridiculous levels of volatility. So when I was ready to do it with real money, I tried to dial some of that volatility down a bit. But you can, sort of play around with it on a demo to see how it works. And I do think, if you're trading already, it's a really interesting additional way of gaining some exposure. Or if you fancy dipping your toe into markets, but you're not sure where to start, I think again it's another interesting thing to do. So I'd suggest just give it a go. Give it a go and see. I think the smallest amount to open an account is I think it's £1,000 with ayondo. But like I say, you can put that ultimate stop loss on. You can put your stop loss protection on, all of that, and you can make put the risk at a level that you're happy with. So there's a bit more about it, about how it works, if you want to see the last couple of blog updates from me on tradeafter.com. If you have any questions, drop me an email, david@tradeafter.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at Jones the Markets. Someone's asked that the P&L should show the closed and the open P&L. So it shouldn't be a case where people just close winning trades and run their losses, excuse me, infinitely. So it should be a closed and open P&L. Okay, so it's the total net figure. If they closed everything, that's what it would look like. Okay, so I hope that helps. That's it. I think we'll wrap things up now. So I'll stop the recording. We're all done just before 8 o'clock, which is good. But like I say, any questions, feel free to drop me an email. And I would say, I would say try it. Don't expect to make 50% a month, but I think as a way of getting some additional exposure to markets and maybe smoothing out the volatility, it's an interesting thing to do. So thanks for coming along this evening. If you're around tomorrow lunchtime, I'm doing the Wednesday, the Market Outlet webinar with ayondo, and that's looking at stuff to trade for ourselves rather than following other people. But we'll do this again in a couple of weeks' time. And like I say, any questions, feel free to drop me an email. Okay? Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.